Now we move to our spotlight section and we talk to Sheneille, aka the Quinn. The, by the way, is THEE. She is a YouTuber from Jamaica. She's an Android user, but her YouTube channel might be of broader use to the listenership of this podcast because she demonstrates in depth how to use Nvda, the free Windows screen reader with Microsoft Office applications. And here is the interview that some of the team conducted with her earlier in the week.
And we would like to welcome our friend Sheneille from Jamaica. Sheneille, we're talking with you today from Jamaica. Welcome to Blind Android Users Podcast.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here. It's a great opportunity.
Sheneille, I have here with me my co-host Austin from India.
Hi and welcome to the podcast. We are very thankful that you came and are talking to us today.
Hi, Austin.
Indeed, Sheneille, we're so thankful that you actually honored us to come and chat with us here at Blind Android Users Podcast. Now, what we're going to be talking about here is that you have a very, very interesting story that I think a lot of our listeners are going to find very encouraging. And I would like you to tell our listeners who you are, especially the fact that you yourself are blind. And to me, the most important part of this story is the fact that actually you are such a very young person. You became blind not too long ago, maybe like a couple of years ago. And today you are actually even teaching people how to use technology, and you have a YouTube channel and all of that. Can you take us back to that and tell us what's going on so that our people are up to par as to where we're at?
Okay, so back from the beginning. From a young age, I've always loved technology. Most things that deal with technology were self-taught. I was always intrigued when it comes to technology. I would sit on the computer for hours or on the phone for hours. I was always a lover of technology. In my earlier, say about 13, I was interested in a lot of gaming at first, watch a lot of YouTube and so on. And then I decided at some point that I wanted to do a YouTube channel, a gaming YouTube channel, like what most of those young persons out there were doing. So I watched a lot of videos on how to create YouTube videos and do editing and stuff like that. But then I realized that when it comes to getting a profile picture and a YouTube banner, I didn't have any money to pay anybody for anything. So I was wondering, where am I going to get that from? Then a friend introduced to me a software called Paint.net, and he recommended me to some tutorials on YouTube where I could go to learn how to make some simple profile pictures and banners for myself. And I sat down and watched many tutorials and played around with that program myself. And I created that first simple banner and profile picture for myself. But then after that, I sat and I played around with that program, and I learned to actually create more advanced graphics till I was even drawing graphics from scratch on paper, then taking pictures of them and then actually doing them up on the computer. And then I actually went on Twitter and advertised myself, and persons would actually pay me money to do graphics for them. So that was going good for a while until when I was about 15 or so. I was at school, and then I realized that it was getting hard for me to see the board, and my left eye was giving me a bit of an issue. Like the sight was just dwindling away. Went to doctor. One said it was retina damage. It can't be fixed. The doctor said it was glaucoma. So I decided that we decided that we were going to go to a glaucoma specialist. Went to the glaucoma specialist. He said, there's no way this is glaucoma, because my eye pressure was normal. So he sent me to do an MRI. And then we realized that there was actually a mass on my brain which was compressing my optic nerve, which is causing me to lose sight in the left eye. So long story short, did the first surgery, then gain back sight in my left eye after that. And then when it was coming up to for me, because I had to repeat grade 11 to do over my CXC exams. But when it was coming up to my exams, like 1 month before my exams, that year 2019, I lost sight in the left eye by then, but I was still seeing out of the right eye. One morning I got up. It was April the 1st, and I have exams in May. I got up and I realized that my right eye was drooping and I felt extremely tired. I slept until noon that whole morning at school. I just slept through devotion and through all those classes until noon. And I was saying, no, man, something is wrong. I slept all night last night. Why am I so tired? Something is wrong. And I have to be lifting up my eyelid to be able to walk and see because it was drooping. So went to the nurse and she recommended me to go to the hospital. And I spent about 2 weeks in the hospital waiting on a spot in the ICU to get to do surgery. And then I had to do surgery again to try to remove the mass of my brain. And surgery was successful, but they still couldn't get out everything because the whole complications with the brain and so. And I was out by Easter Monday, which is about the 23rd or so. And mind you, I have exams in May. I had to study for most of my exams the night before and try to use even literature and so study about 20 poems and try to use the time to catch up on the last subjects that I would have missed out on. And I still managed to go to my exams with a reader writer, and I passed all my exams. And
Great.
then I was a point where I was a bit, well, first of all, through this whole thing, what was keeping me was the fact that I know that God was there with me. Because even when it came to you see, right after that Saturday when I found out that it was a tumor, that next Sunday I found it, because I was always searching for God, but I couldn't find it. Like every church I went to, it was like it was not there. But I found the right church that next Sunday, and the pastor was so encouraging, and his teachings, they were so encouraging, and it's like it put life to my soul, and it reassured me that God is there. And I always prayed constantly, and I just kept having that encouragement to go on. Even with the surgeries after that, majority of it was paid for me because of how God blessed me. He was blessing me continuously, and I was just giving him thanks for it. So you see, after exams now, I was just there sitting wondering, what is next? I finished the exams now. What am I going to do with them? How am I going to go to school? What am I going to do? Am I just going to sit at home for the rest of my life? Because my mother knew someone at her workplace who was blind as well. And she let us know about the Jamaica Society for the Blind and what they can offer. They can, that they would teach me Braille and teach me how to use screen reader on my laptop and my phone. And I was saying, what you saying to me? You have screen reader for phone and laptop? Then I was saying, yes, then I'll be able to use my laptop then, because remember, my computer was literally like my lifeline. I would be on that thing for hours, just
Mm.
either learning something or just browsing the net or something. I'll be on that thing for hours. So I was so excited. I was able to go up to the Jamaica Society for the Blind, and they taught me how to use the screen reader on the smartphone. I've always had Android phones. Wasn't really, so fond of the iPhone, and I'll let you know why in a while. But I've always had Android phones. First, I had a Alcatel, um, and then after that one mashed up, and I had to get a phone very quickly because I needed to keep in contact with my mother at the time when I was at school. So she quickly went to a store and bought me a phone. It's the name of a car as well. I never knew that brand made phones as well. Hyundai.
So
Yes.
Hyundai had a phone out there, huh? But
Yes.
that's the beauty of Android, though, because just about anyone can manufacture an Android device. So I'm not surprised.
Yes. So that it was good enough for me at the time because I really didn't need much from it other than probably just WhatsApp or to be able to watch YouTube videos or whatever because I mostly use my computer. So wasn't really fussy about big phones and this and that. So just wanted to be able to download music on it and to be able to use WhatsApp and YouTube and to make calls, of course. So went up to Jamaica Society for the Blind. They taught me how to use the talk back on my phone, and they were teaching me. They taught me how to use the Nvda on the computer with Microsoft Word, with Windows, and how to use the internet. And I learned Braille as well. But while I was up there in the midst of training, someone actually blessed me with a Samsung A11. So, that was much better because I was having a real issue with the Hyundai. Because, first of all, I don't know what's with their phone screens, but they lose sensitivity very easily. And it was like it was very slow. There's literally nothing much on the phone other than just the WhatsApp and the talkback. And it was just freezing up, especially when a lot of messages started to come in. It was just sticking up and I was getting so frustrated with it, especially with the sensitivity on the screen because we have to depend on swiping and tapping twice and so on. So I was getting very frustrated with it, especially when it comes to typing. And by the grace of God, I was blessed with a Samsung A11 and I was able to get the voice assistant on it. And it was good. I learned how to use it and I found accessibility great because I was able to say, hey, Google, call whoever, call mommy, call whatever. There were so many different features on it and I loved it really. Now, the reason why I would choose Android over iPhone, first of all, the flexibility. iPhone doesn't really give you much flexibility when it comes to using the phone itself and when it comes to hardware as well. If you have an iPhone, you have to get iPhone accessories, iPhone headphone, iPhone charger, iPhone this, iPhone that, and they're not cheap. The
You can
hardware,
say that again.
the hardware isn't cheap, and the phone isn't cheap. It's not cheap, and even when it comes to, so I love music. I'm a person who loves music, and I didn't have any money to be buying any music on iTunes. So I love the fact that with the Android, I can be able to download my free music, just like that, with no issues, no restrictions, no boundaries. But I don't know, iPhone make you feel like a complete pig in a pen. I don't know. You just feel so restricted. Like you can't move. You don't have any space to breathe. That is just how iPhone makes me feel, and the whole fact that it was expensive,
Of course.
and yes, and I just decided that what, I'm gonna stick with Android. I have always had a fascination with the Samsung phones. So I was glad when I was just miraculously blessed with one. And it has been great since. Don't really have much problem with it other than sometime when you say things to Google put in something completely different. You Google put in something. I say, I don't know where Google get that from.
Well, that happens a lot sometimes. But, so
Yes.
here, Sheneille, this is really such a great story. And like I said, it's such an encouraging story. And you have kind of actually alluded to probably one of the reasons why you are not downpressed and feeling all dejected. Also, that's part of your faith, which also contributed in that, in making you to who you are and giving you that strength and believe and and finding that strength to go on, because it's not always easy for someone to all of a sudden become blind. I have a lot of friends that, became blind at a later age, and it was quite a struggle. But, hearing your story is such an inspiration to me, and I believe to many of our listeners who probably may be some that just became blind later on in life. And so hearing your story is such an inspiration. And so you've actually told us your Android journey story, then within that story, how it is that you actually were, started on Android and things like that. And also now that you became blind or lost your sight and all of that, and you explained that difficulty with your hand eye, wherein, sometimes it freezes up. Are not able to use your phone. These are some of the things. And you know what? Sometimes people say, hey, Android is so fragmented and all of that. But like I've always argued, that actually that fragmentation happens to be the very strength of Android. And you just alluded to that, because you could choose a different Android device if you don't like your Hyundai, for example, or, go something else, Samsung or something, have a better experience. So that's the strength of Android there. That fragmentation actually is the good of Android. And so I love hearing your story. Now, so take us now to your YouTube channel, because you are a YouTube creator and you actually have a YouTube channel. And one of our co-hosts, Ed, stumbled upon your YouTube channel, and that's how we got to hearing about you. So you are not only serving people in Jamaica, in the Caribbean, but actually you're reaching to people, across the globe via your YouTube channel. Talk to us about that YouTube channel of yours, what you do on there and things like that, and how people can get hold of your YouTube channel.
Okay, so first, what caused me to start this YouTube channel? Remember, I told you I learned the basic things like how to use Windows and Microsoft Word and the internet at the Jamaica Society for the Blind. But when it came to, I knew that I was going to go to school soon, and I was planning on doing IT. So I would therefore need to learn, how to use basic applications like Excel and Access and PowerPoint and stuff like that with the screen reader. But apparently that was not included in the training up by society. So I was a little bit, they taught me the fundamentals of how to use a screen reader. So the onus was on me now to just take that and run with it and go and learn it by myself. I tried searching because I'm good at digging down the internet, trust me. It's one of the pros of sitting down in front of your computer for hours at a time. You learn how to do proper research and to dig down the internet. But I did some digging, and it's just I couldn't find any tutorials on especially Microsoft Access, Excel and Papa, how to use with the Nvda and so on. If you did even find any tutorials, they would have English titles, and then as you click on the video, blah, 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 completely different language. And I'm like, if you're not going to speak in English, I have an English title. So you get your hopes up, and then when you look, there was no English. So there was no way for me to follow because I am depending on my hearing. I can't see what they're actually doing.
Exactly.
And you might have little blogs or so online, but they weren't really helpful. They weren't really descriptive. So I went and I did some digging down of myself. I thought to myself, because remember, I could see before. I used Microsoft Access, PowerPoint, and Excel before. And I had basic knowledge of how to use them, but it was just how to navigate them with the screen reader. So the first thing that I did, and in everything I do, I go to God about it first. I pray about it first. And it's like he said to me, why don't you search up, like, for example, keyboard shortcuts for Microsoft PowerPoint or Excel or Access. And that is where I started. And I went through and I started using the shortcuts. And I think of different uses that people would have for the different the different uses that people would have to use the applications, like to create reports or to create slides or whatever. And I sat down and typed up step-by-step instructions of how to do each thing. And remember, I said that I wanted to become a gaming YouTuber from when I was much younger, like 13. So I took that knowledge that I had gotten about editing and all of that stuff. And one of my good friends, Damian Rose from Jamaica Society for the Blind, he actually taught me how to maneuver the audio editing software with my screen reader. And I just took that and I decided, you see, because there are a lot of tutorials out there, especially English tutorials, I am going to provide tutorials out there for persons to be able to learn these different programs and applications, because I was once in that spot where I didn't have anybody to teach me. I couldn't find anything online and I was just lost. So I decided that I'm going to therefore create a YouTube channel in which I'll be able to teach blind persons on how to use these different things. And it would help them to get jobs out there, because there are a lot of jobs out there. They can do data entry with the Excel, the Access and create PowerPoints and stuff like that. So be able to use these different applications will open job opportunities for them. So I decided that, guess what? This is what I'm going to do, because one thing that I love to do is to help persons, especially to get the feedback from persons, to hear, thank you so much. You helped me. I was able to do this. I achieved this because of your tutorials. That is what really gives me the push. So before, I had a YouTube channel called Theequinn, Theequinn, that I used to do graphics tutorials on. But since I could no longer do graphics, I changed up my video description, my channel description, I should say, and I decided that this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make, well, not really videos, because I only put my logos on the actual audio to make it in a video. But I say, I'm going to make these things to help out blind persons out there. So I started with the PowerPoint tutorials, and I started sharing them to persons, and I started getting a lot of positive feedback, and that pushed me to continue making these tutorials out there, because a lot of persons, especially I've heard persons saying that I'm the first person to actually go there and make tutorials on the Microsoft Access, and they're so appreciative of it. And that just keeps pushing me to make these tutorials out there for persons. And I also started doing interviews with other successful blind persons, which would be an inspiration as well to those blind persons who are just sitting at home, feeling so demotivated, feeling so down, and they just want to hear that inspirational story just to get that extra push. So that is basically what my channel is about. And if persons want to find my channel, what I realize is that there's someone else on YouTube called Quinn as well. But I have personalized YouTube URL. So to get directly to my YouTube channel, what you can type is www.youtube.com/C as in cat /TheeQuinn, and that will take you directly to my channel, and you will have all those tutorials and interviews to your disposal.
Great. I love it, because now I know where to go find those PowerPoint tutorials, and most especially Excel. I used to know Excel to some degree, but I'm not quite up to par anymore with Excel. And again, guys, this is going to be a resource just in case you want to find your way around Excel or find your way around PowerPoint, which is important. You want to do that presentation and all of that. And by the way, if you create some presentation in PowerPoint, you could also still import that into your Google Slides and things like that. So again, that YouTube channel would be youtube.com/C/the Quinn, right?
Right.
So you think of her like, oh, and to thee, oh Quinn, right? But it's spelled differently with Quinn instead of Queen. So it's youtube.com/C/THEEQUINN. And we'll make you the Queen of Jamaica. How about we do that? The Jamaican Queen. And, maybe that's what you should have chosen your username, the Jamaican Queen or the Jamaican Queen, or something like that. See if
Well,
you could change that.
well, the reason why I chose that name really was, first of all, it wasn't the name for my YouTube channel at first. First, I was
Uh-huh.
looking for an Instagram name.
Oh.
And I was doing a lot of thinking about it. And I remember I used to watch a show called Zoe 101. I don't know if you ever heard of it. And there was a girl on there. She always tried to do a lot of invention. She always coming up with something new, some kind of experimental invention. And I think I remember her name being Quinn.
I see. That makes sense.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that is one of the reasons why I chose that name.
And so we're so thankful, Sheneille, that you were actually able to come again and chatting with us. And we at Blind Android Users, what we are doing here is that actually what we have going now, from now on, is that we do have what we call listener guest appearance. So if at any time you want to come and be part of our podcast or episode as a guest, as a listener guest, when we record, and usually we do this on Saturdays at 9 a.m. Pacific time, at any time, if you have the chance to come, we would love for you to come again and be host of the podcast for that day as a listener guest appearance. So that is out there to you and to anyone actually listening to our podcast. And again, we want to thank you so much for coming. And I really like that passion that you've got, and most especially for wanting to teach blind people the things that you're teaching us. That's very important. And again, guys, go check out her YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/C/TheeQuinn, TheeQuinn.
All right. And I'll be honored to come on your program.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Warren, Austin, you spoke to Sheneille. What did you think?
Sheneille was a great kid, young lady, nice, great young lady out there. Really, I think she did a very good job. And I particularly like her optimism and all of that. For someone who just became blind not too long ago, I think Sheneille is just absolutely wonderful. So I would say to subscribe to her YouTube channel and follow her with what she's doing. So, Austin, what do you say about Sheneille?
But the journey, the interview was so nice, and I've subscribed to her YouTube channel after that, and I've seen the YouTube videos, very motivational videos. She interviews a lot of people, and they also have motivational stories to tell. So it's all in all a good interview, and it was good to get to know her and to discover that there is a YouTube channel that is called Theequinn. So do subscribe and turn on the bell. And even she does tutorials on Microsoft Access, which I thought is not accessible with Nvda. So that is good.
And the tutorials get straight to it. They're relatively structured and systematic, no time wasted. So do check them out. Well worth a look, I think.